Good afternoon, you two. I'm coming today to talk a little bit about coronavirus. So, my daughter and I left for our Southeast Asia vacation on January 3rd. We returned to Chengdu about a week ago. And so I've finally been here long enough and got enough work done that I can kind of go out today, make a video, and tell you how things are. So follow along, and I hope you enjoy it. So one of the things, first of all, is whenever we leave or enter, we have a little card, and we show it to the gate boss, and he'll let us in or out. Cheers. Check our temperature. Make sure okay. Now, if you've never been to China before, you might not realize this, but there is absolutely no traffic on the street, or very, very little traffic on the street. Normally at this time, this would be a pretty busy road, and there would be a lot of pedestrians out going to the store, but at the moment, nobody, or at least very few people. A lot of stores are still open as far as like grocery stores, so you can go and get food. But again, as we enter the grocery store, they're going to take my temperature and make sure I'm okay. Slowly, more and more businesses are beginning to reopen. ATMs have always been available, but still a lot of businesses continue to be closed. It happens to be my daughter's school, and classes have been canceled for the time being. We do not expect classes to begin probably until at least March 23rd, and we will see how things go even after then. Will find somebody walking around without a mask. But a big reason is that in the last week, 7 or 8 days, there haven't been any new cases here in Chengdu. So I think people are starting to feel confident again. And I don't think there's so much concern, at least like there was a couple of weeks ago. People feel the other way, and you will see people wearing gloves and taking serious precautions to kind of keep themselves safe and healthy. So this is a park kind of in the center of Wenjiang. And normally it would be very busy. There would be children, there would be some elderly out here doing exercise, doing Tai Chi. There would be people flying kites and people selling food, selling candy, selling little toys. But you can see today, really very few people. So, as I said at the beginning of this video, on January 3rd, I left with my daughter to begin a trip around Southeast Asia, and we flew into Malaysia. And at that time there was a little bit of news about something happening at a wet market in Wuhan, that a couple of the vendors had fallen ill and that they suspected that it was a virus and that they were going to close down the market and disinfect it. As the days went by, the problem seemed to be becoming more and more serious. And when we arrived in Thailand, especially in Bangkok, people were really beginning to get scared. That's when everybody began wearing masks. That's when airlines began canceling flights. And there was a moment where I really wondered if my daughter and I were going to get stuck in Southeast Asia outside of China. Now, fortunately for us, we went to Cambodia, and Cambodia never restricted travel to or from China. So we were in Cambodia for a month, and I was paying close attention to kind of the numbers here in Chengdu and in Sichuan. And I saw a dip in the numbers, and I kind of paid attention to the trend, and I kind of took an educated guess, or took a chance, that by the time I got back, the numbers would be low enough that my daughter and I really didn't have to worry. The other thing is, my wife and my youngest daughter were still here, and we were missing them. So we flew back in, and as we went through immigration and customs, again, they checked our temperature, made sure that we were healthy. We got into a taxi, and the taxi driver was wearing a mask, and we were wearing masks. Drove us home. As we got to our community, they made me kind of check in with the government. So there is an app that you have to kind of fill out what your name, where you live. You got to tell them if you have a fever, have you been in contact with anybody from Hubei, have you been to any of these places where there was a significant outbreak. But after filling out these forms and after talking to him, he let us into our community, and I basically went home and went to bed. So over the next few days, my wife told me basically how her life has been here. And other than her not working, and it really didn't disrupt us that much. You're still able to buy groceries. On nice days, you still go out, you just have to wear a mask. Like I said, you do need a card to go in and out of our community, but they haven't really limited how many times you can come in or how many times you can go out. And as I said earlier, in the past 7 days, there have been no new cases here in Sichuan, or I'm sorry, here in Chengdu. There have been a couple of cases in Sichuan, but none in here in Chengdu. And people are beginning to feel more confident that this is finally under control. I am currently teaching classes from home. I'm using Zoom. I have been told to prepare for at least 3 weeks of classes to be taught online, and I would think it could possibly go longer than that, but I really don't know. One thing I would say is that everybody at my university has done a great job. None of us really saw this coming, but everybody has worked very, very hard to make sure that the semester goes as smoothly as possible for our students. And I feel very, very lucky to be surrounded by so many people that are really concerned about this virus, that are concerned about getting it under control, and are concerned about keeping somewhat of a normal life. So the last thing we should probably talk about is, in the past 3 days, there have actually been more outbreaks outside of China than inside. And a lot of people outside of China are now becoming worried. And they're really wondering what is going to happen. And for that, I do not have an answer. What I would suggest is that if you are worried, buy masks, buy hand sanitizer, buy some gloves, get enough food so you could stay at home for 2 or 3 weeks if need be. Ultimately, I feel, again, I am not a doctor, I feel that the health implications will not be so serious for most people. What I am far more worried about are the financial implications. I believe, as many experts, that this will push the world economy into a recession and quite possibly a depression. So what I would say is, make sure that you are saving your money. Make sure that you are capable of taking care of yourself and your family, even if you are not able to work for a month or two. And try to stay positive. Don't panic. Don't allow anxiety to kind of wreck your life. And find a way to just go about your daily life. So, I made this video pretty quickly today. I didn't really put much thought into it. In fact, every segment was basically the very first take. And that's because I want it kind of to be raw. I want it to be a little bit unpolished. But if you have any other questions that I didn't answer today, or if you would like to know a little bit more about something I said, leave a comment and ask your question in the comments. If you want to follow along and see how this plays out and follow my experience of living here in China, make sure to subscribe and follow my channel. I would appreciate it. But I hope you enjoyed, and have a great day. And don't be afraid of Corona. So delicious.